Hi everyone. In today's lesson we're going to be combining like terms. The objective is to use the distributive property to combine like terms and simplify expressions. First, we're going to start with a couple of definitions. Our first definition is term. A term is a number, a variable, or the product of a number and one or more variables. Terms will be separated by plus or minus signs. For example, if I have 2x plus 3, 2x is considered one term, and 3 is considered a separate term. So this has two terms. Notice the plus sign separates the first term from the second term. Coefficient. The coefficient is the numerical factor of a term. For example, if we look at the 2x in the problem above, the 2 is considered the coefficient because it's the number or numerical factor of the term. In other words, when a number is multiplied with a variable, that number in front is called the coefficient. Our last definition is like terms. Like terms are terms that have the exact same variable factors. They must have the exact same variables with the exact same powers. For example, 2x to the second and negative 3x to the second would be like terms because they both have x to the second power. If I had 9a to the second and negative 4a to the third, these are not considered like terms because a is to different powers on those. In order to add or subtract terms, they must be like terms. In other words, the terms must have the same variable with the exact same powers. When you add or subtract like terms, you're actually using the distributive property. For example, when we look at 8x plus 3x, we note that both of these have a variable of x. The reason this is similar to the distributive property, if we go back, x is being multiplied by 8 and x is also being multiplied by 3. That would be the same as this problem. Because remember, from what we learned about the distributive property, x times 8 is 8x, and x times 3 is 3x, and we would add those together. Now, we know that 8 plus 3 is 11. So this would be x times 11, or 11x. So I just used the distributive property to simplify 8x plus 3x. Now, we don't need to go through this whole process every time we're adding and subtracting like terms. Basically, if the two terms have like variables, simply add or subtract the coefficients together. So add 8 plus 3, and 8x plus 3x is 11x. So in looking at our second example, since both of these have a variable factor of a squared, we simply combine negative 9 plus 2. So negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. So this simplifies to negative 7a to the second power. You leave the variable terms the same and simply combine the numerical coefficients. Now let's look at a couple of examples that are a little bit harder. Notice that in this example, negative 4m cubed minus 3m cubed are like terms. However, the negative 6 is different. I am going to rearrange this using the commutative property. When I do, I take the sign with the number, so that's negative 4m to the third minus 3m to the third minus 6. And I simply combine the terms that are alike. Negative 4, take away 3, is negative 7. So we have negative 7m to the third minus 6. I cannot combine these two terms because they are not alike, which means this is my simplified answer. In the next problem, I have 4 terms. I notice that 5ab minus 3ab are like terms, so I am going to group those two terms together. Negative 2b plus 6b is also like terms, so I'm going to group those two terms together. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So 2ab. Now remember, this is not 2 plus 6. We must read the sign with the number. So this is negative 2 plus 6. And negative 2 plus 6 is positive 4. Since it's a positive, I will write plus 4b. So the simplified answer is 2ab plus 4b. Again, I cannot combine these two terms because of the a in this one, and this one does not contain the a. In our next example, the only way to simplify this will be to first distribute the negative 3 to the numbers in parentheses. When you simplify a problem, you should never leave a parentheses in the problem. So we're going to remove this by using the distributive property that we learned in the last lesson. Negative 3 multiplied by 2x makes negative 6x. Then we multiply negative 3 times negative 5. Remember to include the sign on both numbers. That's a positive 15. Since it's positive, I put plus 15. And now I've done nothing with the plus 4, so I'm simply going to carry that down and write negative 6x plus 15 plus 4. Looking at the problem I now have, I notice that 15 and 4 are both constants, which means I can combine those together. So positive 15 plus 4 is positive 19. Bring down the negative 6x and bring down plus 19. This is my final answer. In our last example, we are again going to use the distributive property to get rid of the parentheses. In this case, I distribute negative 7 to 2p squared and negative 7 to 3p. We're simply going to bring the 4p down in front. We're going to do nothing with that right now. Remember, as you're distributing the sign with the number. So it's negative 7 times positive 2, which is negative 14 p squared. So I'm going to write minus 14p squared. Then I have negative 7 times positive 3, which is negative 21p, or minus 21p. And I bring down the minus 8 at the end. Now I look for like terms. As I look across this problem, I notice that I have a 4p and a negative 21p. I'm going to combine those two terms together. Usually when I combine like terms, I like to start with the highest exponent and work toward the lowest. So I'm going to put the negative 14p squared first. Then I'm going to have plus 4p. Remember, this is a positive 4p, a minus 21p, and a minus 8. I will combine positive 4 and negative 21 to make a negative 17. So I have negative 14p squared minus 17p minus 8, which is my final answer. So this is how we combine like terms. Thank you for watching today's lesson.